Hi there, welcome to FMCG by Alex. My name is Alex, and today I would like to talk to you about key account negotiations. I've done videos like this before, but today I would like to refresh and add a few things. I'd like to highlight in this video the two sides of this. So, one is the key account manager, and the other one is the buyer. So, the shared and maybe opposite interests of both of these sides. So, the key account manager, let's start with that. First of all, the key account manager, of course, has a number of new product listings and new product introductions that they would like to propose to the buyer. So, new SKUs that they would like to launch throughout the year. Then there might be deletions, so there are products that are not performing sales-wise, or sales per day, or sales per month. They are below a certain threshold, so that means that on the shortlist of the buyer, these are about to be deleted. So this can be a conscious choice from the key account manager, or it can be by force. Sometimes you have this thing where uh, products are not performing well, but they are still just above that, you know, that line that they would fall off the chart. So the bottom 10% normally gets deleted in retailers. But you might have a new product introduction that you say, hey, can I switch it out? Can I take out an SKU and can I put a new one in without actually having to go, all the way with regards to listing fee? So you just use the same spot. The thing with retailers, of course, is that their stores are not made of elastic. So they, in order to put something in, they need to take something out. It's not like, everything is full, but good products always there is room. But this is the thing with retailers that when you are having 10 slots, you want to have 11 or 12. That is something someone else would need to be deleted or rationalized, as they call it. So one of the other things that a key account manager has as an interest is, of course, growing sales. So growing sales across their entire portfolio, meaning can be also due to extra listings or from the existing product. So the same product growth. Growing the sales can come from various sources. You have new product introductions, you have existing products, and of course the new stores that the retailer is adding also can benefit or contribute to the sales. That sort of thing. Then growing and defending market share. So this is linked to sales, obviously. So growing market share would be, you sell more in the category than your competitor. So this is the way, normally with new product introductions, you are catering to a new niche or a new way of addressing the customer or serving the customer. Or defending market share, if you are already the biggest, they will all gnaw at your legs. If you're small, it's easier to capture market share, of course, because there's a lot of market share that you can capture. If you're big, you're fighting for 0.5% or 1%, basically, that is already big. Then securing display opportunities and promotion. So this is also something that is very high on the agenda of the key account manager. This is a battle, so you are not the only one that is trying to talk to the buyer about this by securing, okay, what I want to have this and this and this in mind for the coming year, and I would like to do this. So whether or not that is possible depends a little bit on the allocation, because you can only do one event at a time. You can't have the entire store full of displays. There are only maybe a limited number of displays that you can rent in essence, and it all depends on your trading terms budget, or TT budget as we abbreviate it here. Now, keeping the trading terms budget stable, trading terms normally is a percentage of the total sales you are doing in a store. So trading terms, the retailer always has the agenda to increase it, so meaning the percentage is higher. The key account manager is fighting to keep it at the same level. So this is because in the end, the budget goes up because the sales would go up, because it's a representation of a percentage of the total sales. But retailers, of course, would like to have more back margin support. Therefore, the trading terms budgets always are, up. So I've even experienced it where retail buyers actually, after a long negotiation, said to me, "Look, my boss told me, do or die, I have to get 0.5% extra this year." Now, then, if that is the case, you agree or disagree, and in some cases, this can be a very long process. The companies I've worked with is one company, I will not mention the name obviously, but one company I've basically been involved in. They had training terms budgets that were maybe half a year. We were working without a training terms budget or with the old training terms budget because my boss did not want to sign the new training terms budget because he simply didn't agree with it. So this is a tug of war with regards to retailer and also the principal in this case that the training terms budget is something they need to agree on. So keeping it stable, meaning the same, is the and reducing is actually something they would love, but they can't, of course. And increasing is always on the agenda of the retailer. So if you are keeping it stable as a key account manager, that's already a big victory for yourself. That's basically what I would like to say about this topic. Then the other side is the buyer. I've also sat at the other end of the tables. I've been both involved in principals and also in retailers. So buyers normally they need to process new product listings. So in essence, looking at what is actually happening in the category. So category review we call it. In essence, you are looking at the poor performance in the category or what is proposed from various principles. So they will, in essence, I will go into that in a moment, they will present to you and propose to you various new SKUs that they are adding. With regards to the performance of the category, is it a growth category? Adding more of the same, will it actually lead to more sales? That is normally also the thing that retailers need to really wonder by themselves, basically. So, am I adding another SKU that is actually catering to the same target audience as the ones I already have? Or am I adding really something to the category which is broadening the category in essence? And for a retailer also it is very important to see what is another retailer in the same segment doing in that category. So is the category growth in my biggest competitor actually going up, or is it minus growth? So that influences a lot of your choices you make in the category. So in the end, normally you cut the top bottom 10% or the bottom 20% if you really want to be rigorous, or anything in between, obviously, for the products that are not performing, and then you have to replace it with something new. So this is something you can tie in if you like. Important customers, of course, have more leverage over you. So you actually have, if you're large principal, of course, you have more bargaining power than a small principal. So the comment I just made about, it's easier to grow when you're small because, you have a lot of ground to gain. Of course, it's not easy when it comes to fighting a giant. It's just that you can go into places where others can't go. You can be more lean and mean, and you can be quicker with the turnaround of trying to experiment with new products, basically. Then, of course, growing sales for the category is really the key for this buyer. The buyer normally is segmented. So you have number of different buyers for different categories. So for example, personal care, there might be a buyer. There might be a buyer for snacks. There might be a buyer for beverages. Might be a buyer for the health category, basically. So all these guys and ladies, of course, have their own domain where they are experts. They read everything. They are very well versed in every aspect of this category. So normally you really need to get experts also in this position, people who have maybe also sat at the other end of the table, have been a key account manager in their past life, and really are able to distinguish, okay, what is the trend in the category, what is the trend in the market, how do I grow this category. If you look at the dynamic between a buyer and the key account manager, it's normally the key account manager, of course, can be more senior and advise actually a buyer on what to take. The bigger the principal, of course, the more leverage you have. When I work for a large milk company in Indonesia called Ultra Jaya, people were taking more notice of what I said than when I was working for a smaller company. Obviously, when we were, basically more taken more seriously, and also the decisions we made about new product introductions were taken with a little bit more, um, yeah, seriousness, degree of seriousness in essence. So uh, they were rolling out the red carpet race, the same as Coca-Cola, or if you have a lesser known brand, Coca-Cola, of course, has a preference over smaller brands when it comes to how they perceive information. So key account manager normally also needs to not just sell, not just negotiate, not just offer the products, but it's also a matter of like, look, insights. Hey, in this other store, I'm doing this. In this other store, I'm doing that. So, uh, these are things that you need to play around with a little bit with regards to educating the buyer, providing information, becoming a partner rather than the guy at the other end of the table who is playing hardball every single time. You need to work on relationships. Relationships can not just be buddy buddy and you go out for dinner or you go drinking together once in a while. No, it actually really comes down to having a relationship within which you also share information and you become a valuable sparring partner for the other one. Now, buyers also have a very, yeah, it's maybe not at buyer level, but actually the buyers are geared towards driving traffic to the store. So that's actually the main thing for a retailer. Like, I'm competing with other retailers, therefore I need to drive traffic to my stores. And I do that through these decisions that the buyers make. What is the category like? Are we the biggest in this category? There are certain categories that are really a focus for certain retailers because of this purpose. Like, okay, I want to have this type of customer who is looking for this product into my store. That's why I really want to have this category complete. And I want to have an experiential display basically for these customers. And the idea is also like, if I get the customers for this type of product into my store, which is like a certain segment that I'm looking after, then they will also do their groceries in my store for the rest of what they need. So then, yeah, one of the things that you need to keep in mind when it's dealing with a buyer is, of course, that they are also the master of allocating promotions and display opportunities. So on the one hand, is the key account manager is actually the one who is looking after. Hey, I have this in mind. The buyer says, "Oh yeah, okay, but you and 10 others have proposed to me the same thing." Then the buyer needs to navigate, because you can only give away a display opportunity once, or a rental opportunity once. It cannot just be a price thing, but it also is the big picture when you look at it. So keeping in mind, like, okay, what is actually doing with the category? How can I grow this category of mine? If you're only looking at price, okay, I give you a lot of money to get this display opportunity. Okay, you've made some money for the company, but maybe your sales will be suffering in comparison to the competitors. So all these things are kept in mind. So buyers are not just making a decision on how much money someone is offering. If they do, you see a lot of these old-fashioned retailers. Actually, they go the way of the dodo, which is extinct. The companies that are doing it quite well normally have more of a view of category management, in the sense of like, okay, I don't care what kind of money you offer me in terms of support or listing fee. I am actually looking at how these products will perform in my store. If I really believe it and they really vet it completely from A to Z, evaluate it, various commissions that need to, test panels, etc., that are looking at these products. Um, if that passes all this, all the entire process with flying colors, then it goes into the store, and then in the end, the listing fee is not important. Some stores don't even charge a listing fee because they say, okay, this is it. We arrange that in the margin. Then, of course, like I mentioned before, increasing the trade term budget. Like I said, this is also something that um, more of the old-fashioned supermarkets, this old-fashioned retailers are doing. Basically, the new retailers, of course, are also looking at more of a two-way flow of communication, where it's more a partnership, joint business planning in essence, which is a GBP approach. As soon as you are in the joint business planning phase, then you are looking at balancing this out. But Like I said, there can be simply, okay, we just need this. Everybody should be zero point 0.5 or zero point 0.4 or whatever, maybe you're 1% up in terms of training term budget. Now, if you are faced as a key account manager with that, yeah, conclusion, so you need to actually really increase your training terms budget, and your boss says, okay, fine, but get value for your money, then of course you can also negotiate. Never ever give anything up without actually having compensation for it. So if you do this, I do that. That is normally the best way to look at key account management, and yeah, from a buyer perspective as well. If I give this up, what are you going to do as a principal? And as a principal, what are you going to do as a buyer? So as a retailer. So in this case, it's give and take, and I think the objectives is, yeah, I mean, win-win. That is usually always the thing people are looking after, looking forward to. Like to say, okay, I have a win-win solution, but that doesn't always work in retail, unfortunately. So if I do this, you do that, then that is normally the way that I found is the most effective way, which also can lead to a win-win, because you have a lot of shared objectives in terms of the direction you're looking at. But of course, if you see those two lists that I just presented, yeah, this is actually something that in some cases it can also be counter to each other, where they have not have the same agenda, and maybe the opposite agenda in this case, where agendas clash. That's what I mean. So just to enlighten you guys about two sides. So you have the key account manager and the buyer. A lot of it aligns, but some of it also clashes, and that's something you need to work out in the relationship. Then a rundown of the negotiation process. So you have, first of all, it usually starts with, okay, this is the time of trading terms negotiations. Then the key account manager will present the new plans of the company that he works for, he or she works for, to the buyer. And the buyer can be not just the buyer, but it can be the boss of the buyer, and maybe even director level of the various retailers. This takes a while, so you normally run through a PowerPoint. Some companies make more work of it than others, obviously, but this is normally the way, the time when you present your new plans, not only which new SKUs you are going to propose, but also like, okay, this is the development of the sales. You maybe give some reference of how you're doing in other retailers, and of course how the category in essence develops, how the market develops, and how well you're doing in terms of, yeah, how compared to the competition. Then you propose the new listings inside of this presentation. So in essence, you already say, this is what we're coming up with. This is going to come in month 5 or 6 of the year. And we would like to list it. So this is normally also something that happens right after you are proposing the new listings. Then these new listings normally are, like I said, can be a trade-off, can be something you are taking out to put something new in, or you're expanding the number of SKUs, number of active SKUs in the outlet, depending a little bit on the situation. That can differ. Then the new trading terms are normally proposed by the retailer to the key account manager, so to the principal in essence. This normally involves an increase. So then there will be trade-offs, counter-proposals. Now then is this like, if I do this, then you do that, and strong resistance. This is where the real battle is actually fought every year. And then in theory, you should be able to reach agreement and finalize these trading terms. This is something that can take, weeks, months, and sometimes, like I said, in a very extreme case, up to a year. Where a year, actually, where I work a year, they did not sign the new trading terms, so they were really skipping a year in terms of trading term signing. But that is also only in the rare occasion where the power is really with the principal. If the power is with the retailer, yeah, you will not be able to get away with that, because they will just stop buying from you. If the principal is actually having a product that you can't be without, so my store is not complete without your product, so that is the power of the principal. This is something that you need to keep in mind. So there are several countries where principals have more power than retailers. If you look at many years ago, Coca-Cola, and I think also in Holland was Vrumona. Vrumona is actually the soft drinks arm of Heineken, the big brewery. So they had some like dispute with Albert Heijn, the largest retailer in the Netherlands. So the Albert Heijn is something, maybe 30-40% market share at this moment, maybe at that time more than 50 basically. They are really by far the biggest retailer, and of course the biggest retailer has the biggest power. There is no such thing really as traditional trade in the Netherlands, so you basically are really bound by these large organizations. And at that time there was even to a point where Coca-Cola did not want to supply Albert Heijn, because Albert Heijn was insisting to have it at a certain price or the certain discounts or certain promotions that he could not agree on. And then Coca-Cola was actually taking out ads, same as Vrumona, ads in national newspapers where they said, like, look, we temporarily our products are not available in Albert Heijn, but we invite you to shop in. And then they listed all the other supermarkets that they were available. So this, of course, hurt the principal more. Albert Heijn couldn't care less. Of course, they were not happy with it, but they have a private label or a store label that they are pushing in absence of that. So in the end, Coca-Cola had to go on their knees and beg for forgiveness, and everything was put back into place. Same as Vrumona. Vrumona also in the end, had to cave in and do what Albert Heijn wanted, basically. So this is the very extreme case. I would say that is also not helping anyone. Yeah, like this was maybe a very extreme time also that happened. In the last decade or so, I haven't seen anything like this happening anymore. And other countries, of course, you have different dynamics where the retailer maybe has more or less power than the principal. So then, allocating the training term elements into a budget. So you have the various training term elements you divide. You have a promotional fund, you have a fund for new listings, you have a fund for like new store openings. All these things are allocated inside the training terms budget. So really a budget that itemizes everything. And then you agree on a timeline and the planning. So when is actually this happening, and you link it to a time on the calendar, basically in the year. So this entire negotiation process is something that can take long, but in some cases, you can maybe finalize in a couple of weeks. Maybe 3-4 weeks is maybe the max for this, if it's back and forth. If the relationship is good, you are both doing this joint business planning approach. You are, quite quick with regards to setting meetings, and you are, let's say, as a principal, you're big enough to get the time of day from the retailer. It can also be finalized in a very short period of time. Depends a little bit on the key account team, the size of the key account team, and of course how many key accounts you are expecting them to cover. But it's usually prudent to actually start a bit earlier to sound out the retailers and say, look, when can we start discussing? Sometimes retailers are also holding off the boat because they're not ready. They're just not thinking about it next year. They're still finalizing the current year. And that really makes the time a little bit short. So time in negotiation normally is working against the person who is under the pressure of time. So if you are, as a retailer, actually you have all the time in the world, and that's this example just I gave also with regards to this principle I used to work for, that wasn't signing trading terms. Now, the time was actually on the side of the principal, not on the time of the retailer. So in a sense, okay, so what are you going to do? There's no consequence if I'm not signing this until I'm very happy with the trading terms. So until I'm fine with adding the percentage you want to, then I just skip a year. Then 1 year, I have this increase is not for 1 year but for 2 years. So this is one of the things that really can play a part in complicating trading term negotiations, and also negotiation process with the retailer. Now, one thing that I also need to keep in you need to keep in mind is that any planning. So there are examples from my career also where I have worked with people who thought on a Friday afternoon that they could start a promotion on Monday in a national retailer. Um, and then we're asking our marketing team for various collaterals, basically, like, okay, design something quick, produce something quick. The fact is that all this stuff needs lead time. There is not only design for marketing collateral, basically, or marketing images, basically, are taking time. Also needs an internal approval process. Then it needs to be approved by the retailer, so that can be weeks actually already. Then it needs to go to the printers. It needs to be printed. It needs to fit in the workflow there. And then, of course, from the printers, it needs to go into the distribution to the various retail stores, and it needs to be implemented properly. So all these things require a lot of coordination, a lot of time. That's why this last point is like agreement on timeline and planning is very important for the trade marketing team to really keep in mind that you allocate the proper resources, and you hit also your milestones with regards to designing, printing, rollout, manpower planning, also to set up these displays. Either you outsource this or you do it in with your own resources, obviously, your own sales team, promotion team. But the point is, like, this is something that I've seen go wrong more often than not, because there are always elements that people were not taking enough time or reserving enough time to do. So the point is, like, if you are spending a lot of money negotiating something, okay, I want to have a display in all of your 1,000 stores to a national retailer with 1,000 stores. I would like to have in all 1,000 stores. I want to have a beautiful display with this and this and this. Yeah, it is actually nice to agree. Okay, 1st of March, it's all implemented, but at that particular moment, if the 1st of March there is no display in every store, so meaning you are lagging behind or you're falling behind in terms of implementation, is a bit of a waste of money. Yeah? So you are maybe only in 500 out of 1,000. Now the other 500 are lagging. That's maybe a month late because of deliverables that are late. So this is actually a bit of a shame, yeah? If you look at the money you are investing, and of course, if the display is not implemented, you maybe are losing also a month of sales in that sense. So. And national programs are most effective if they're coordinated well. And the larger the country, the larger the market, the larger the retailer, of course, the larger the challenge. If you look at different retailers, of course, there also is a different way of approach. Yeah? Like you have the hyper super, which is reasonably large outlets, hypermarkets and supermarkets. They have a large floor space. You can do a lot of different things like activations, a lot of different things like tasting the product, like sampling activities. You can do activations in terms of, like, say, if you have a product that is suitable for a cooking demo, for example. Now that could be it, or it can be a celebrity who is doing a photograph with you and the product, something like that. So all these things are or activity for kids, but I mean, all these things are are easier to do in large retailers. And if you're looking at smaller stores, like mini markets in the Netherlands, also you have quite a number of smaller stores, basically, but simply the floor space is not there, and maybe the traffic is also not there to really effectively warrant that. So this is also something to keep in mind. I hope you enjoyed this video. So I have tried to really summarize the entire experience of trading terms negotiation and key account negotiations, basically. I've done a video like this before, but I just wanted to refresh this and add a few more points that I forgot to add the last time. And as time goes, you gain a few more insights, and a few more things come to mind that might have been significant. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you would like to send me an email, alex at devries salesconsultancy.com is my email address. Would love to hear from you if you have anything I could possibly help you with, any questions about the content. Like I said, I've been around the block a few times. I run a sales consultancy, but questions are free, obviously. So no worries about the clock or the meter running when you send me an email. I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.